Difusión.
Responsabilidad.
Colaboración con la sociedad.
Conservación, acceso y difusión.
Alfabetización de información.
Servicio híbrido, pronto, expedito.
Experiencia.
Paz.
Hospitalidad.
Empatía, tanto de bibliotecarios como de autoridades para crear un espacio acogedor.
Libertad intelectual, acceso abierto y derechos de autor equilibrados.
Las bibliotecas necesitan dar una alfabetización de información a sus usuarios para poder usar recursos impresos y electrónicos.
En estos tiempos necesitamos bibliotecas ligadas a jardines de paz, que son espacios verdes donde el usuario puede acudir a leer y entonces estar en contacto con la naturaleza es muy beneficioso para todos.
Para mí la biblioteca moderna debería ser la biblioteca como un ágora.
La biblioteca como un espacio de estudio y recreativo.
Difundir la lectura es lo que nos hace falta en las bibliotecas.
Ir a una biblioteca para cubrir ciertas dudas y curiosidades que me dan del día a día, ¿no?
En estos momentos la tecnología ha llegado tanto que tenemos libros electrónicos, pero para mí en particular es mucho mejor tomar el libro, tocarlo, palparlo y disfrutar de una lectura.
Una biblioteca me gustaría que sea un espacio de conocimiento, pero también de una vivencia. Experimentar, leer con un libro en papel es invaluable y quisiera que se conservara.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today for Stronger, Bolder Together. My name is Vicki McDonald, and it's my great privilege to be the IFLA President for 2023 to 2025. And I'd like to welcome our 25-27 President-elect, Leslie. Hello.
Why, thank you so much, Vicki. And I am Leslie Weir. I'm the Librarian and Archivist of Canada, and I am the President-elect of IFLA.
So thank you for joining us, and thank you also to Elsa Ramirez and her colleagues from the National Library of Mexico for providing the video which we've just seen. And it was their response to the question of what does the world need today from libraries? And that's a question that we'll be exploring today in our session. So thank you to everyone who's putting in the chat where they're joining us from. It's fantastic to see that we've got some coverage from across the globe. Australia, The Hague, London, United States, Italy, Sweden, Canada. Fantastic. So thank you for joining us today. Today's a bit of an experiment. We haven't done this before, so we'll see how we go. And we hope you enjoy the session because we're really looking forward to the session. So you're probably wondering about the title, Stronger, Bolder Together, and it's actually a drawn up of the presidential themes for both myself and Leslie. So my presidential theme, of course, was Stronger Together, and really is based on how much and how well librarians as a profession collaborate and work together to achieve really strong outcomes for their communities that they serve. And it's really around enabling better decision-making, achieving social cohesion, and through partnerships. And I think there's some of the themes that we'll hear today. So Leslie, do you want to share with us your theme?
Well, thank you, Vicki. I'd love to. Now that we have been stronger together over the past 2 years and we can see the impact that has, this is a moment for us to build on Stronger Together, to be bold. It's critical for libraries to play the role in their communities, in their countries, in their regions, with their clientele, and with the partners that they work with to show the impact that libraries can have to make the world a better place. And I'm sure that we can be bold together.
Sounds exciting, Leslie. I'm looking forward to being bold with you this evening. As well. So we're going to slip through some slides. There's also going to be some opportunity for interaction. We've got some polling questions and a couple of other videos to share with you. So I think we can get started. And first up, we wanted to share with you the really important report that was released by IFLA last year, the IFLA Trend Report. It was released in Brisbane at the IFLA Information Futures Summit. And I think we might have a slide. We've got Stephen Weiber doing our tech support with us today. So thank you very much, Stephen. And of course, if you were in Brisbane, you would have seen Michael Deswani and Dr. Kim Osman when they launched the report. But of course, we've had it on so many platforms over the last 9 months or so, sharing the great work of this particular report. It identified 7 trends that are impacting information and knowledge across the globe, and particularly positions us to think about how libraries can be placed in the future as well. I've used it as a tool within my organisation in our strategic planning. We're not going to talk a lot about the trend report, but it's really there as a visual reminder. So trend 1 around knowledge practices are changing, around the new ways that we create and share information, and of course comes in with misinformation as well. Any report today has to include something on artificial intelligence, and that's covered in trend 2 about AI and how other technologies are transforming our society. Trend 3 is trust is being renegotiated, and it brings in topics like the proliferation of conglomerate news agencies, but also how local newspapers in communities is dying, and refers to things such as news deserts. Trend 4 is around skills and abilities. Trend 5 is around the uneven distribution of digital technologies. So really focusing on digital inequities, digital divide, digital inclusion, which are really big topics as well. Trend 6 is around information systems are using more resources, and I think that really picks up the concern around e-waste and also the use, how much resources are used for many of the technologies that we have in our everyday society. And then trend 7 is around people are seeking community connections, which is, I guess, quite opposite to the rest of the trends, and really talks around the role of the library as a space that brings people together, the growth of online communities, and of course, libraries as community catalysts. And the reason that we've profiled the trend report first up is I think you'll see that a lot of these themes will come through in the discussions today, and also the discussion that we'll have in our next session as well. And you'll be able to listen out to those. So Leslie, perhaps do you want to explain what's prompted these sessions that you and I are delivering over the next couple of days, as well as at WILIC in Astana?
So I think we all realize that the world is changing. There is a lot going on in many, many different regions. We have political instability. We have leaders with very strong opinions. We have challenges to libraries themselves in terms of their collections and the services they provide. And with all of these challenges, the ones that we've lived with for decades and ones that have just come to the fore in recent time, libraries really do need to be working together to be able to thrive in a very complex environment. And Vicki and I felt strongly that it would be really good to look at just how our themes really do address and respond to these changes that we're living in. And obviously, when we work together, we are stronger, and we've demonstrated that over the past 2 years. At the same time, we really do need to step up and ensure that the role and impact of libraries is recognized and understood by everyone. And we have an opportunity over the next couple of years to really demonstrate this on many levels within each of our communities, within our countries, to our funders, with our partners, that we can all come together to step up to make the world a better place for everyone, and deal with some of the especially concerning trends around loss of literacy and the movement towards perhaps less reading. I think together we can make the world a better place, and I'm looking forward to hearing from some of the people we have joining us today to give you some of their thoughts on these very critical trends that we're working with in the library world.
Thanks, Leslie. I mean, you've really highlighted some of the big impacts on our society and certainly areas where libraries are really making a strong impact as well. So as you've suggested, I think we could actually start with our first poll and Stephen will launch that. And the poll is, what are the biggest challenges facing your library today? And if you can just pop a few questions, a few words into the box, that would be terrific. Perhaps not 500 words, or make it brief as well, and we'll just get a quick snapshot of what people are thinking. So, as I said, the question is, what are the biggest challenges facing your library today?
We can see the answers coming in, Vicki. So either people are quick typists or they're starting with some brief, bold answers.
Well, actually, I can't see the answers, Leslie, so you might have to read them out.
Oh, at this point, I'm just watching the number of answers we have. So we're up to 9 so far.
Okay. I think we're going to see some of them come up on the screen shortly. So if you're looking at it, the question is, what are the biggest challenges facing your library today? Maybe if we share some of them, we can see what people are thinking about.
Let me read some of them out. I think that's probably the easiest, as it's not showing up otherwise. So amongst the answers we've had financing, a lack of experienced and professional librarians.
Definitely a common theme that we're hearing, and also we're seeing resources and skills, but certainly financial and human resources budget. There's one there around teenagers and young adults, challenges to get them into the library to read, which I think does lead us into our first video. So in preparing for the sessions, Leslie and I invited a number of library leaders around the world to respond to the question around what does the library need today? And the first person who we're going to share their response from is from Sherpong Ning from the National Library Board of Singapore. So let's listen to what Sherpong shared in response to this question. What does the world today need from libraries?
Hello, fellow librarians and friends from around the world. We stand at a crossroads. We live in an increasingly polarized world with widespread misinformation and falsehoods. Reading and content consumption patterns are also fast changing, with shortened attention spans. Our communities need us more than ever because knowledge and skills can help uplift them and enable them to master this changing world without being polarized into extremities. Libraries and librarians are uniquely positioned to inspire people to read, learn, and discover. And technology has expanded the means for us to do so. As we gather for this year's World Library and Information Congress, or WILIC, we should seize the opportunity to move forward together. But we cannot do so by standing still. The world and our patrons need us to change with them. They need libraries that are accessible, innovative, and responsive. Like many of you, the National Library and Archives Board of Singapore, which oversees the National Library, the National Archives, and a nationwide network of public libraries, rose to the occasion during the global pandemic, and we transformed significantly in order to better serve our patrons. We built on these gains and continued to develop new products and services. These include ramping up of digital offerings, rolling out pop-up thematic libraries in shopping malls, and offering book delivery services directly to homes. To keep pace with changes in the world, we will have to be experimental. We should build on why people love libraries and use that as a springboard for innovation. One key strength of libraries and librarians is our ability to connect. More so than ever, we will need to tap on this strength to work with like-minded partners to seek breakthroughs. Collectively, we can avail new ways to read, learn and discover to our patrons. Partnerships are also critical to enable us to assist those who may be struggling to keep up with the many disruptions. Libraries should continue to serve and provide access to all in our communities. This is part of our equalizer role. One of Singapore's largest public libraries, the Punggol Regional Library, opened in 2023 in Northeast Singapore. Co-created with the disability community, it pioneers services such as assistive technology devices and dedicated rooms for patrons who need a private and calming space, alongside an accessible collection of specially curated resources serving both persons with disabilities and their caregivers. Our memory institutions, the National Library and National Archives, are similarly being transformed through partnerships. We work closely with many partners and donors to collect, preserve, and archive materials, including those on social media channels. But equally, we're tapping on technology to not only digitize our collections, but also to make them more accessible and engaging for all. Generative AI has proven to be a game changer, especially in presenting historical materials to new audiences. We successfully piloted its use for a chat service powered by generative AI, drawing on our collection, including oral history interviews. We will continue to press ahead with using these emerging technologies, while stepping up efforts to educate the public about the limitations and risks involved. We are celebrating NLB's 30th anniversary this year, and it marks the start of a new chapter for us. What does the world today need from its libraries? It's a great question the WILIC has put to us to consider. As we look to the future, we must embrace change with determination and purpose, transforming our libraries to meet the evolving needs of our communities. Today's world needs libraries that spark innovation, inspire discovery, and open doors to endless possibilities for everyone. We must be more than repositories of knowledge. We must be portals to opportunity and bridges to the future. Together, let us build libraries that not just serve our communities, but transform them. Thank you.
Well, I mean, that's an absolutely great video and response for Champong. And of course, I think Singapore National Library Board of Singapore are known internationally for their innovation and the work that they've done over such a short time in the last 30 years. And their libraries are quite extraordinary. And I guess the way Champong has responded to that challenge, Leslie, is all around the importance of being accessible, responsive and innovative. And he's already raised a number of the comments that we've heard this evening as well. What were your thoughts on his response?
Well, I really liked the way he linked the fact that people do love libraries and that we can build on why people love libraries to bring them in and use that as a springboard. He really touched on a number of key issues and challenges with artificial intelligence, having us at a crossroads, creating huge opportunity, but also some risks. And I really liked the way he looked at the opportunity for libraries to be a portal and to look at building bridges to the future.
Yes, they certainly focus on the future. And I think one of the key attributes that National Library Board of Singapore has used really well is partnerships. And he talks about the vitality of partnerships, the importance of partnerships. And I know in a number of projects, they've been really successful through the partnerships that they've achieved as well. But as you said, the portals of opportunity and bridges to the future are some really important concepts. So we've got a quick question for everybody, and I think it's just to sort of assess things. And Champong talked about COVID and the impact that COVID had on our innovation. And I know in my library, it really prompted a lot of innovation. So we've got a quick yes/no question. Did your library introduce any innovative services during COVID that transformed your work, or was a springboard to innovation? So just a quick response, yes, no. And then what made it successful or unsuccessful? So again, these responses will help us also build our sessions at Astana, and we'll be able to bring forward some of our responses to these questions as well in those sessions. So if you would give us a quick response. Did your library introduce an innovative service during COVID that transformed your work or was a springboard to innovation? And I think that's interesting. You know, COVID came from nowhere. It was so quick. And for many of us, we had to react so quickly.
Well, Vicki, while we're waiting for the results of the poll, do you maybe want to share whether your library, in fact, introduced an innovative service during COVID?
Well, we sure did. I can still remember it. Certainly all our schools were closed. I'm sure it was the same in many communities. And so we had to think how we could react to assist parents who became the school responsible for schooling their children at home. So we immediately responded through curating our collections, presenting it in new ways, and we moved one of our senior staff into a totally new position, and her role was to actually curate our collections and to make it accessible very quickly. So it was a great success. Since COVID, it's actually been a springboard for us to a whole new schools program, education program with teachers, and has been a great success. So we had to react very quickly, but really strong outcomes. So, Stephen, are you able to share with us the response to the quick quiz? Yes. So resounding yes on innovative service, 83%, and then what made it successful or unsuccessful? Are you able to show us the details, Stephen?
So we can certainly see that people found ways to give services and to focus on their users, and of course, needed to leverage remote.
So remote service of ebooks was operated successfully. Communications, click and collect was a big thing.
Click and collect.
Yes, as well, which is fantastic. So I think one of our other questions we're interested in knowing about was picking up the partnership theme that Sherpong mentioned, which is around, and the question we have is, what programs, activities or services have you delivered through a partnership? And if you've got a link, if you want to add a link to that particular program or service, that would be useful as well. So we're really looking at that partnerships angle to get an idea of the types of partnerships that have been successful for libraries. So Stephen will put that question in. The other thing I can say is I'm not sure how the quality of the video was for everyone, but we do have the videos and we'll be able to put them up on the IFLA webpage as well so that people can access Sherpong's video following today's session. Maybe people can respond to the chat, might be the quickest way to respond to this one. So if you could respond in the chat, what programs, activities or services have you delivered through a partnership? Perhaps add a link to your comment. And if you don't have a great partnership, if you know of a great one in a library near you, that would be just as good to hear about as well.
Maybe even one that you'd like to create in terms of a partnership.
Maybe time to go to our second library leader, perhaps, and to one of your Canadian colleagues, Leslie.
Exactly. So our next video is by Pilar Martinez, who is the CEO of the Edmonton Public Library, one of our larger public library systems in Alberta, Canada. And Pilar is a huge champion for freedom of expression and intellectual freedom. And so let's go over to Pilar and hear what she has to say about libraries in today's world.
Hello friends and colleagues, my name is Pilar Martinez and I'm the CEO of the Edmonton Public Library located in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I'm also involved in the IFLA North American Regional Division and MetLib. Libraries have always been places of knowledge, learning, and discovery. They safeguard ideas, inspire curiosity, and bring people together. But as we face mounting challenges in today's world, we must ask, what does society truly need from its libraries right now? First, libraries must promote and champion intellectual freedom with conviction. The right to read, view, watch, and listen is fundamental to an informed and democratic society. Libraries safeguard open access to ideas, challenging, inspiring, and thought-provoking, so individuals can explore perspectives, engage in meaningful discussion, and shape their understanding of the world. But freedom is only valuable if people take the time to engage with ideas, and that engagement begins with reading. In an era of distractions and shrinking attention spans, we need libraries to foster deep reading and thoughtful reflection. Reading is more than just consuming information. It's about slowing down, absorbing complex ideas, and developing critical thinking. Books cultivate empathy, expand perspectives, and fuel self-discovery. Libraries must be spaces where people reconnect with the joy of reading and build habits that strengthen their ability to think deeply and critically. Reading also shapes how we connect with others. The knowledge we absorb fuels discussion, broadens understanding, and lays the groundwork for dialogue. That's why libraries must be places that encourage civic discourse and bridge divides. Social isolation and polarization threaten the fabric of communities, but libraries offer space for people to come together, share ideas, and engage in constructive conversations. They create common ground, a foundation for respect, collaboration, and collective problem solving. Libraries are also centers for learning, growth, and opportunity, whether it's fostering early literacy, supporting lifelong learning, or equipping individuals with essential skills. Libraries empower people to shape their futures. They spark curiosity, drive innovation, and provide pathways for building stronger, more informed communities. And as highlighted in the 2024 IFLA Trend Report, libraries are no longer on the sidelines of change. They're key actors in shaping it. The world needs them to be proactive, inclusive, and future-ready. From addressing misinformation and the digital divide, to adapting to emerging technologies and preserving cultural heritage, libraries are uniquely positioned to meet the challenges of our time. Their role is expanding, not replacing their roots, but building on them. Now is the time for bold actions. Libraries must embrace innovation, design inclusive services, and anticipate the evolving needs of the communities they serve. They're not passive institutions, they're catalysts for progress, defenders of knowledge, and spaces where curiosity, trust, and connection can flourish. In this moment, libraries are not just valuable, they're vital. And if we want a future defined by knowledge, dialogue, and belonging, we must advocate for them now. We must champion their role, strengthen their reach, and ensure they continue to serve as pillars of intellectual freedom and community resilience. Libraries don't just store knowledge, they empower people to create a better future. Thank you.
Wow, I think Pilar's really hit on some key themes in terms of today's session and in terms of the IFLA Trend Report. So important that we focus on people and that we help not only to shape their futures, but make them future ready. And it is important that we build on our roots because libraries have a great track record. We have contributed in so many different ways over the last century. And I think that we can make sure that we are not only valuable, but we are vital in helping to support society. Vicki, what were your thoughts and reactions to Pilar's video?
Well, like you said, I think Pilar covered so much and did it so well. And, you know, championing intellectual freedom is obviously something that many of us are thinking about. One thing I did like is the way that she picked up one of the points without even knowing it that Sherpong raised around reading. You know, the engagement through reading, the joy of reading, reflection, critical thinking, and the ability to think deeply. And I think there's a lot of focus in libraries now about reading, and like you said, it's what we're all about, is how reading can impact our lives, our social, economic prosperity, that sort of thing. I think one of the other things that it prompted me to think about the comments that Pilar made was around a publication that was published some years ago by our colleagues in Europe, The Rough Guide to Citizen Engagement in Public Libraries. And really that important role of libraries getting people in their community engaged in what happens in their community, being involved in the decision-making of the communities and being connected to the communities. And that particular report is one that I've looked at a lot. And I think a lot of the comments that Pilar made resonate with that particular report as well. But I think she also picked up your theme, Leslie. She talked about bold action is required. Obviously on the mark with the be bold as well.
Exactly. And just showing how we can be catalysts to help empower people and being bold about doing that. And now I think we have another poll, which I guess we will probably once again do in the Q&A. And then we might want to loop back because we got more comments about partnerships and we could touch on those. But we have a poll about the importance of intellectual freedom. And does your institution have a policy that supports intellectual freedom? And does your governing body publicly support intellectual freedom? Looking for a quick poll for yes or no on those two questions.
Some interesting responses there on the question 3, Leslie. So we've got a quarter of libraries that don't have a policy supporting intellectual freedom. But the second response is question 2, so 92% the governing body publicly supports intellectual freedom, which is extraordinary. It's a great result.
Extraordinary. I have to say, actually, my library doesn't have a policy on intellectual freedom. Being the National Library and the National Archives of Canada, government departments traditionally have not had policies on intellectual freedom. But in fact, as we get ready to move in with the Ottawa Public Library and our new building opening in 2026, in fact, we will be the first federal government department in Canada that does have a policy on intellectual freedom. And we're working with our Treasury Board, who's the policy group of overarching for the federal government. So we're pretty excited about that, but also recognize that it's taking on an important responsibility.
Yeah, my library, we've had an intellectual freedom policy since 2006. And I could probably say in the last 3 years, we've referenced it more than in the previous 20 years. And it certainly has been really valuable to have it as a publicly accessible document to reference and refer people to on a range of different circumstances. So, so it's really terrific to see the strong support from institutions, governing bodies for their intellectual freedom policy as well.
Exactly. And now we have a couple more questions. So another poll with 2 more questions. The first question, how ready are we to explain why intellectual freedom matters so much? And of course, depending on how ready people feel, this is something that certainly IFLA can really support its members in being ready to explain why intellectual freedom matters.
Certainly, I find it really useful to be able to reference IFLA's policies as well in this area, as well as our own institutions. But it's really important that IFLA has this policy and so many other policies as well. So we've got the question on how we can win competitions for people's attention in the chat. TikTok. Philip is suggesting TikTok. TikTok is very persuasive. And it certainly came up in one of the trends that as a means of sharing information, just how successful it is. And I remember I went to the International Publishers Association conference a couple of years ago, and one of the topics of one of their presentations was how much TikTok is driving sales of books. And I've seen in airports around the world referencing TikTok on their book stands and things like that. So I think you're right, Philip. It certainly is the way to be persuasive and to share information.
And looking at the results from question 4, it looks like we have quite varied results, quite a range in terms of people's thoughts on the readiness of explaining why intellectual freedom matters so much.
So I think that, if we've got midway at 5, a quarter of our respondents feeling, I guess, a little bit uncertain, sitting there in the middle. And I guess that's an opportunity for us to be thinking about is how we can support people in actually being able to explain the importance of intellectual freedom, why it matters as well. But then again, we also have another quarter on 8, which is a high result as well.
Exactly. And then we also have another suggestion for the way we can be in competition for people's attention. And Hannah's suggesting interactive events that bridge physical and digital elements together. And I think we're all finding that there's a great interest in terms of people interacting with our libraries who really do want to kind of have also a hands-on and more applied involvement with what they're experiencing. And so looking at being able to bring the physical and digital together may help us achieve that. So I guess we can end the poll. It's given us quite a bit of information in terms of the range of comfort level with being able to explain why intellectual freedom matters. And I think that is a great takeaway for IFLA in terms of looking at ways that we can support members in terms of having the tools that they need to be able to give explanations and be able to work through some of the challenges that arise around intellectual freedom.
Certainly a big topic, and I think it's likely to come up in our next launchpad session as well, because at that session we'll be joined by David Lanks as well. So I think that will be definitely come up. I'm just looking back in the webinar chat, Leslie, just in relation to the previous question around partnerships, and Philip Wilson, as far as partnerships that he had was recognising with the one with UK public libraries, but also sharing the NHS app to help public with better access to health literacy. And I think that's a big issue around literacy, and really picks up that whole trend around digital inclusion, digital inequities, that sort of thing. I know in where I live that digital inclusion is a big issue that we're putting a lot of effort into. We have whole sections of our community that don't have access to the internet or don't have access or the abilities to access information. And with so many government services going online now, it's a big issue for how people can stay connected in this 21st century as well.
And we have the same trend in Canada, so I'm sure we're seeing that reflected around the world. And then Clara has suggested that more webinars partnering with local non-library organizations and professional associations, both national and international. And then
thank you.
Andrew highlighted, I think, the partnership, especially with public libraries and national and state libraries, with schools in the municipality or in the area, so that in this case, children visit the library once a year and meet an author. And I know that authors can have a great impact on children, especially if they get to meet their favorite author in person and talk to them about where their ideas have come from.
And that certainly goes back to the comments made by both Sherpong and Pilar, and as well, I've been following National Library Board of Singapore's 30th birthday celebrations. Big focus at the moment on reading. There's a lot in their social media in the last few days around some of their reading programs. And I think Andrew's suggestion of, schools and visits to libraries is all about building that love of reading as well, which is really so important.
Exactly.
You know, even today, we've, you know, just the 2 short sessions, the videos that we've had, there's been a lot of similarities and connections between the comments from Sherpong and Pillar as well. And I'm sure we'll see that in our further sessions that we've got coming up as well.
Exactly. And I think we may have a few new opportunities and challenges highlighted in the upcoming videos as well.
So as we've sort of mentioned, we will have another session, and I think you just probably need to check the IFLA website for the details on the timing. It'll be the 15th of July in most of the world, but in Australia it'll be the 16th of July, 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. rather, if anyone in Australia wants to get up early. And of course, at that session the next one, we'll be joined by David Lanks as well. But all of these sessions are really part of our build up to Astana, and we'll share with you a slide with the details of those sessions. This year, Leslie and I have decided to take a different approach with the President and the President-elect session, and we're going to springboard off each other's session as well. So unfortunately, I think there's a bit of a problem with the slides today, but the President's session will be session 134 on Wednesday, the 20th of August at 9 a.m. and Stronger, Bolder Together. And we'll be continuing some of the discussion that we've had this evening. And Leslie, you've got your session as well.
Exactly. So my session is session 166, and it is on Thursday, August 21st from 1:30 to 2:45, where we will be bold in looking at our future together. And then we're actually planning to do a post session virtually, similar to the sessions that we're doing today, to be able to pull everything together and look at how we'll move forward in being bold together.
Sounds great. And I think we'll be able to put up the videos separately on our website page today, because I think there's been a few glitches with the system, but it's really important to, I think, go back and watch those videos again. There's lots of good points to be made in those as well. So I think we've got through everything we wanted to today. Leslie, your thoughts?
I think we're where we had hoped to be, with the incredible contributions of our colleagues from Mexico to do our nice introduction, and then moving on to Sherpong and Pilar in terms of getting our imaginations going around just what libraries can be. And so I think it's a great start to this series that we're doing.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you very much for Stephen. He's had the hardest job, I think, working all the different technologies to put them up. So thank you very much, Stephen. And as I said, we'll have another session. Do check the IFLA website for the details. And if you're in Astana, we certainly would love to see you at the President and the President-elect sessions as well. But thank you for joining, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks, Leslie.
Thank you, Vicki, and thank you, Stephen, and thank you everyone who attended today. And we'll look forward to working with you going through the next session, and hope to see some of you in Astana.